dig up.
And Micron announcing it will start producing chips at the first of its fabs in 4 years. This investment described as the largest ever in New York's history.
A lot of people helping to get us to this monumental day of Micron's groundbreaking, including Congressman John Mannion. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a great time to chat with both of you.
So I know it's ceremonial. Everybody grabs the shovel and you throw a little dirt. Some do it a little bit better than others.
Yeah.
You know, but actually, how big a deal is today?
Well, listen, it's a validating moment. And, you know, there was a lot of skepticism out there. We heard that from different folks, including the county executive today. But what's really great about this region, there's a number of things. First of all, like our history as it relates to technology, but also that we work together. And it took a variety of different levels of government and community partnership, representatives of both parties to make this work. If everybody hadn't done their part, we wouldn't be here today. And today is a great day. You know, we've gone through an extensive environmental review. And it's more than just Micron. It's that we have positioned ourselves with our schools, our clean energy, and our clean water to be a leader, to be a hub of semiconductor chip manufacturing. So an exciting day.
And but a lot of questions, too. A lot of people are wondering, you know, we're going to need a trained workforce to make these chips. How are we going to attract enough people to do this? I understand you have introduced a bill that will help advance that, not just for Micron, but for other companies, too.
Yes.
Tell us some specifics of that and how it can advance training a workforce for our future.
So this is a bill related to immersive technology. So this is basically like, you know, VR in that space, meaning like virtual reality, and it takes people's skills and actually have them trained in advanced manufacturing. It's really focused and been supported by the Manufacturers Alliance of Central New York, our community college network, our higher ed schools. So it's also, what's a great piece of is it helps individuals with disabilities in being able to train in that way. And it builds upon, you know, the work we've done in the region with our great schools, but also funding that I got for manufacturing apprenticeship programs, a record number in the state. So we're all working together, and I know the governor is committed. She has a program here to make sure we can meet those workforce demands, and working with our K-12 schools that we love, community colleges, higher ed, an on-ramp program, which I absolutely support.
There's been a lot of talk about alluring supply chain companies, and we've heard that a little bit from you, a little bit from others at the two things in Clay and Syracuse today, to support Micron. How can you in Congress help to try to bring some of those companies, actually get them signed on the dotted line now? The county executive has told us it's time to step up.
That's right. Well, I'm going to commend the county on this and the state when it comes to economic development, to selling Central New York, and it's part of my job to continue to sell it as well. But, you know, it's not that hard to look. Like I said, we've got these great higher ed institutions. We're already a hub of technology. We have already companies that supply to many of our manufacturers that are in that tech space. So, you know, for me, I get to see all of it. Living in Syracuse and the surrounding area my whole life, I didn't always know these small manufacturers that were out there. So we're really well positioned in a lot of ways. We've got to meet this moment. I've watched our leaders, our community leaders, our elected leaders meet the moment, our universities meet the moment, and we're going to continue to do that because we want this to come to full fruition.
We will continue our discussions on Micron.
Lots more to come on that.
But we do want to switch gears. We need to talk about what's happening around the country and here in Central New York. We've seen the ICE protests. What is your level of concern with the direction the Trump administration is taking with ICE?
Well, I'm extremely concerned, right? We are a community that has welcomed people from around the world and continue to. It's one of our strengths, and it's built into our DNA. We need comprehensive immigration reform, but what we heard during the campaign leading up to 2024 was that there's going to be immigration enforcement for the worst of the worst. This is way overzealous, way over the top. Our federal law enforcement individuals should be unmasked. They should be identifying themselves. And something that caused me to vote against the reconciliation bill was, yes, ICE, we need to make sure that we're enforcing our immigration laws. That organization is funded at $9 billion. In the reconciliation bill, that increased more than triple to $28 billion every year for the next 4 years. So that is very concerning to people because they wonder, they're watching what they're seeing on TV. Many are very concerned, regardless of party. The people that I talk to are very concerned about these actions and the provocative actions of ICE. So people have the right to protest. I have attended some of those, and I encourage people to protest peacefully. But the concern is that this federal group is working towards something other than immigration reform, and that's very concerning to many, including me.
Minute and a half left, so I want to get to another one. Venezuela, as we're talking about foreign affairs now. What direction are we going there? What's the sense you're getting? There was talk of a very vague, we're going to run Venezuela. What can Congress do? I know that there was something in the Senate was turned back.
Well, I'll tell you, if I can step back a little bit, as we were watching these extrajudicial strikes on these boats, I had signed on to discharge petitions and that were resolutions that did get bipartisan support and were brought to the floor to say this is under Congress's authority. These are actions of war, and therefore Congress can only declare war. Unfortunately, there was not enough support for those, and as a result, we went into Venezuela. Well, now listen, Nicolas Maduro is a bad guy. I've heard it from people long before we went in, but I don't think that the American people, and certainly not Central New Yorkers, want us to get involved in these conflicts around the world, which is what we've seen over the last year. So there not being a plan is a very concern, and the president has spoken many times about oil. And I think it's pretty clear that there's a lot of motivation behind that. So as a member of the House of Representatives, I know where our authority lies. And therefore, I call upon my colleagues, and there is bipartisan support in the Senate and the House to take back this control, okay? Now, the president is the commander-in-chief, but when it comes to war powers, they fall under us just like trade and other things. So that's what I'm demanding. And again, I have to commend what our members of the military did. You know, again, this is, if you step outside of it, where people's positions are, still, they protect us every day. They were asked to do something, and they did what they needed to. But the concern is now, where does this move a lot of chess pieces around the entire globe? And this comes along with what's happening in Ukraine, conversations about Greenland and Panama, and imperialism on our part. You know, we're supposed to be the good guys. I want to continue to be the good guys, but when we start bullying people around the world, it looks unfavorably upon all of us.
We appreciate your time, John Mannion. We didn't even get to health care, so I guess we'll just have to have you back.
Thank you so much. Yep.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.